Did you go live? Because it's not live on YouTube yet.
Yeah.
Oh, so we're publishing now. Well, I think all that still should be on there, right? If we learned anything from last time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So anyways, welcome. We'll get started. I'm just going to do a double check here just to make sure after this ad plays that everything looks good here.
What's an ad for?
Looks like $25 off of brakes, man. You get $25 off of brakes.
I mean, that's a steal right there. I mean, brakes are only a couple $100.
Yeah.
So.
It looks like it just jumped in when you hit published. So it didn't go back to the beginning.
That's cool.
So we'll start all that over. That's no worries, right? Welcome.
Hi.
We, it may take 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years to get all this organized out, but we're happy you're here hanging out with us live. Welcome to the chat. Sonic Screwdriver, Jay Bourgeois hanging out in the chat as well. Several others look like are watching too, so feel free to pop into the chat here before we get started and say hello. We're going to have a good time. We're going to run the SiftPop on Men in Black International. We're going to run the Sift Spoil on Men in Black International. That'll be a separate video. So this one will close out, and then there'll be another one pop up on the YouTube channel. And then we will also do the member show, the member post show for Patreon members. But that won't be live video. That'll just be audio. So, Patreon members get that right in their own podcast feed. So it's kind of cool like that. Phil's hanging out with us, making sure everything's looking good.
Hello.
We saw last week that Phil shows up in the TV every once in a while. So, you can say hi to Phil.
We cleaned the
We did.
screen.
Look at it. It looks so good. Oh, it looks so nice.
Well, I mean, now you can definitely see Phil's reflection.
Looks so pretty. Looks so pretty.
He's the man in the mirror.
Gideon says hello. Derek says hello. Phil Souza says hello.
Phil Souza?
Who's Phil Souza?
I'm in the chat.
You are in the chat.
That doesn't make sense.
But you're here too. I don't understand how all of this works. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started, and we will... Oh, Sebastian says hello. Hey, Aaron and Andrew, been a fan for more than 2 years. Well, Sebastian, it is great to see you hanging out in the chat with us. So
apparently, we cracked like top 100 on iTunes or something.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I had no idea either until somebody contacted me and was like, hey, I saw your podcast in the top 100 and listened to it. It's great. I have some, stuff I want to talk to you about, and... It's like, all right, well, let's chat. So,
yeah.
And that's because of you, because you like the podcast and you listen.
Yeah. I mean, it's good that, it's on iTunes. It's like, they prefer audio podcast or something. I'm going to change that.
Yeah. Sebastian says...
I mean, look at this. Look how clean the screen is.
Well,
look how clean this...
Technically, Andrew, this is a video part. This isn't going out to audio at all, so, you feel free. Point away right now. The only people seeing this are watching on video.
No,
so.
I don't feel like it.
Sebastian says you guys have awesome chemistry. Thanks, Sebastian.
Oh. It's that Snidely Whiplash Deadly Do-Right chemistry.
It's exactly what it is. All right, let's get started. Things looking good, Phil? You got I saw the camera move a little bit. I don't know if it...
Yeah, I was trying to center it a little bit.
Okay, very nice.
Do something?
Very cool. No.
I feel like
he's just
Ian
trying
Malcolm in Jurassic Park, or he's like, what I touch.
Yeah. All right, Phil, you gonna give me the? I should be able to hear the. Are you gonna play the theme again like you did last time? Okay. Just let me know when to go, and we'll go.
You won't hear it though. Is that what you were asking?
Well, I think I'll hear it through the headphones.
Oh, okay.
Possibly. I don't know. Maybe not. Live from a bunker in the heart of the Ozarks. Let me do that again. One more time. Lost my place on the sheet.
The next line is a podcast.
Joey made it to the live show. Live from a bunker in the heart of the Ozarks, a podcast that will only accept guns made completely out of chrome. It's SiftPop.
Not the most tactical or stealthy weaponry.
No, but completely. Not a bit of anything but chrome on them.
Yeah.
Welcome to SiftPop streaming live most weekends, or available to download later in your podcast feed. Unless, of course, you're a patron.
Patrons get perks.
Patrons get those perks. I'm your host, Aaron Dicer, and he's my ravishing and remarkable co-host, Andrew Ormsby.
Ahoy.
And each week we'll chat about movies, television, and whatever else from the pop culture universe is on our minds.
Hello.
What's on your mind, Andrew?
Oh, not much.
Yeah?
Just, I got a Dungeons and Dragons event tonight. It's going to be a fun event.
Nice.
Yeah.
How long have you been playing with this group, or is it a first
I've
kind
been
of
playing
thing?
with this group for 2-3 weeks now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're enjoying it?
Oh, yeah, it's great.
You enjoying your character?
I have a pretty decent character. I got a witch hunter. And,
Ooh.
yeah. His name is Ivar. And his parents were killed by a witch. So now
he's got motivation, man.
He's got motivation.
He got those motives.
Yeah. He's tracked down and he's found out this witch is super bad. So now he's got to train up
Nice.
so he can take on this
Man,
witch.
D&D is having like a huge like rebirth in culture right now. There's all these D&D podcasts and shows and yeah, people are really getting into it. Is it because of Stranger Things, or is Stranger Things just indicative of something that was already happening?
I think it's more the fact that you're finding it's more accessible to do it online.
Yeah, that's probably true.
As opposed to, gathering a bunch of people. That's why, Xbox and all the other consoles, they weren't really, massive until like online, because before that was just LAN parties, which I still think to this day, LAN parties are the most fun I've ever had gaming.
Yeah.
Because, it's more personal that way.
Yeah.
But from a convenience standpoint, and I think that's what's happening with like tabletop games too.
I remember doing Mario Kart on LAN parties and racing like 16 people and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's fun stuff.
Halo, GoldenEye. I'm just thinking back to all the amazing times. But yeah.
Good times.
Yeah.
Good times.
We're getting old.
That is, well, some of us has been old for a few years.
Yeah.
We're getting older, but everybody's getting older. That's how it works.
Yeah, that's
for
how
now.
it works.
All
For
right.
now.
We are going to have a lot of fun today talking Men in Black International. We are, of course, going to do some buried treasure at the end. We've got a Sift quest about Pixar in anticipation of Toy Story 4 coming out that somebody sent our way, so we'll get to that. Then we're going to do best ever challenge for reboot movies. These are movies that are attempting to reboot a franchise after it's been dormant for a while. We'll do our best ever challenge in that. And of course, we will do some Men in Black International chat. We'll review the movie for you right here. But we like to kick it off with some Do We Care?
Every single week, I scour the internet, and I can't do it. It's not right, Aaron. I thought I could do it. Ladies and gentlemen, I scoured the internet this week to find out what was going on in the entertainment world. I tried to pick some topics for us to discuss.
Did you?
I couldn't find anything.
Oh, man.
I was thinking, the most like exciting news article I could find is movies Leonardo DiCaprio is not in. And then I thought, E3 is this week, so I could find some amazing things to talk about.
Sure, yeah, of course.
Sony wasn't there, so there was no PlayStation conference. Xbox was lackluster. I mean, they had some cool stuff, but it was stuff that they had already announced. I'm not really a Nintendo guy, so none of that stuff really excited me with like Zelda and Smash DLC.
But what if it would have excited me? This isn't just about you. There's two of us here, man.
Yeah, but you don't game, you said.
I still love Nintendo.
Okay.
I can still get excited about a Breath of the Wild sequel.
There's some, there's Breath of the Wild, and there's some Smash DLC.
Ooh, new like Smash characters?
Yeah.
See, this you're right. I don't game, but that has a huge impact on my home because we are a Smash house. My kids play Smash all the time.
Yeah.
And they're always talking about, new characters that they can play. And in fact, I heard something about Banjo-Kazooie. Yeah.
That poor bird. That poor bird. But then, all the devs like Bethesda, Ubisoft, EA, it's just the same stuff we see every single year from them. The new Call of Duty, the new Tom Clancy game, stuff like that. And there's a Star Wars game that looks pretty good, but it didn't like blow me away or anything like that.
Is it time for the new consoles? Is that the problem? Like,
well,
is it just like we need new technology to get us excited?
Yeah, well, Xbox at the end of their conference.
And by us, I mean everybody else, because I don't game.
Yeah. Well, Xbox, they teased Project Scarlet, which is going to be the next console. But it's one of those things, you see Apple do it whenever they're talking about an upcoming product. It's just talking heads, talking about the amazing specs. It's not like showing anything or like actual renderings of what the console can do. It's just like, and at the very end, just Project Scarlet. But 8K, I mean, and no loading at all, no loading frames at all.
Yeah, I don't know, man. 8K.
I just got a 4K TV.
Maybe I could see a difference 8K to 4K, but I'm definitely not seeing anything in difference after that resolution. My eyeballs aren't going to pick up.
I've seen 8K before, and it's glorious. But yeah, I just, like you, I can't see anything getting better than that.
Right.
I mean, what do we see right now? Like, what can our eyes actually render?
Comprehend.
Yeah. Is 8K like photorealism, or is it like 16K?
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? I mean, somebody does know, but I'm asking you. Do you guys know?
No, I don't know for sure. I remember hearing that there are some people that can tell the difference past 8K, but they're very few and far between. Yeah. So it just depends on, your eyeballs.
Yeah, my eyeballs
and their connection to the brain. Yeah, mine aren't great either.
Yeah, I'm colorblind.
Well, despite you not finding any Dewey Cares, Andrew, we did manage to round up a couple stories. It's all sequel time, right? And so there's all these sequel stories. I think they just announced, let's start here, and I don't have them in front of me, but I know Phil does because I gave him the stories. But there's a Gladiator story, some new information about Gladiator 2.
Ridley Scott's Gladiator 2.
It's going to take place, I think, 20 years after the first one. Is that correct, Phil?
I don't have the story in front of me.
Oh, well, somebody should have the story in front of them.
So does that mean that Russell Crowe is still walking through the fields of gold?
Yes. What he didn't say, Ridley Scott, was it all takes place in heaven. And we follow Russell Crowe's character in the afterlife.
Is it Tony who did this? I think it was Ridley, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's Ridley Scott.
Okay,
yeah, they're saying more than 2 decades after.
Yeah, so a little over 20 years after. So I'm guessing what we're looking at is the next generation, right? We're looking at, possibly children who have been impacted by this and how, they're going to fight it. I just wonder where we're going with this whole thing.
Well, it wasn't Maximus's kid because Maximus's kid got trampled.
Mm-hmm.
But the Emperor's Caesar's like nephew or whatever. It could be, him growing up and now he's Caesar.
Yeah. Something like that. Are you interested in the Gladiator sequel? How much does that interest you?
I mean, it's such a standalone movie.
Right. It's kind of like saying a sequel to Titanic, right? Like, it's kind of one of those things.
Make.
Yeah. Well, not really. I mean, it's not like James Cameron made a sequel to Titanic.
James Cameron didn't come out and make Titanic.
Right, exactly.
2.
But Ridley Scott is making Gladiator 2, so it's kind of weird like
unless
that.
you count the time that he went to the bottom and he actually went there in his little submarine.
I guess that could qualify as well.
But no. This is a straight up sequel to Gladiator. I mean... Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's so weird. So weird.
I don't know, man. I don't mind. I think one thing we're seeing this summer that's interesting is if you don't make good sequels, people actually aren't going to see them. Like we're seeing this bared out at the box office, even with, we'll talk more Men in Black International here in a second, but that's not making a ton of money. Like it made less in its first weekend than MIB 3 did in its second weekend. So it is just like plummeted. Dark Phoenix plummeted. Secret Life of Pets 2 plummeted. Like all these sequels are failing because apparently they're not all that good. So that's encouraging to me that you can't just make a sequel and everybody's going to go see it. I like the idea that we're actually being picky about the sequels we're choosing to see.
Yeah.
So, and then Toy Story 4 will come out and everybody will...
Forget that.
Everybody will go bananas. Well, because I've heard it's good, right? Like, it's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes right now. So... what are you going to do?
Watch it.
Yes, and then talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah. Number 2.
Another sequel coming out. Phil, what do we got for number 2? There it is. We're going to talk about Ant-Man 3. Apparently, Paul Rudd has put the word out that he's not sure if Ant-Man 3 is happening, and he wants fans to activate and push for an Ant-Man 3.
Pass.
How do you feel about that?
I'll pass.
On an Ant-Man 3 or on the idea of like motivating the fan base to ask for it?
Yes.
Would you say that he wants fans to assemble?
Yes, I think that's right.
I'm okay with Ant-Man, being in like the Avenger movies and stuff like that. I just haven't been a fan of the Ant-Man movies. I mean, the science is the most ridiculous. I mean, you can always kind of like, suspend disbelief in a lot of Marvel movies. Mm-hmm. But for some reason with the Ant-Man movies, they push it a little too far into the ridiculous.
Yeah.
To where they try and pass it off as science. In Thor movies, they just say it's magic, you know,
Right.
and you're like, okay, it's magic, so they do whatever they want. With Ant-Man, they're like, no, this is actual science. We're just compressing atoms, and you know,
And yet it doesn't make sense.
it doesn't make sense,
Right? Yeah. No, I'm with you. I still find it pretty fun though. So I'm not sure about encouraging fans to start a campaign of what good that's going to do, but
Yeah.
we'll see. What would the campaign look like? Would you just send a bunch of ants to Disney?
Yeah.
Just like infest the entire Disney headquarters in ants?
Mm-hmm.
See how that works for you?
Yeah.
See if that goes well? I think that's good. Ready for number 3?
Yeah.
Number 3, Quiet Place 2 will explain how that whole monster situation happened.
I like it.
They're announcing new details on Quiet Place 2, that it will actually go into how these monsters came to be and that kind of thing.
Well, actually, you know what? Take that back. I don't like that.
Okay, well, tell me about it. Tell me what just happened in your brain. You liked it, and then you didn't like it?
Yeah.
Things changed?
Because, you know, sometimes I'm like, ooh, I get to learn something, and that's exciting. But at the same time, I think what made Quiet Place so great is the lack of information, you know? Because when you try to explain stuff, that's whenever, the more you try to explain, the more you leave yourself open to plot holes and stuff like that. So the mystery of it all actually just makes it that much more exciting. When you try to explain it, though, you kind of take away that mystery. The mystery is fear.
Well, it's kind of, there's two things going on, right? If you're going to do a sequel, I think one of the things you should do, as far as like, you know, the wisdom of making movies, is do some world building, right? Because you want to,
new group of people.
You want to build the world to a bigger place that can handle, that can hold the idea of multiple movies, right? The beautiful thing about A Quiet Place is it's very contained. It's just this one family in this world that we don't know how it got that way, and we're rooting for them and we're trying to figure it out, right? But if you're gonna make sequels, if you're gonna make this into a universe, you're gonna have to world build. Now the trick is not to world build to a place where where things get distracting or weird or that kind of thing, but to world build to a place where you can follow different characters and learn something new that you're interested in. So I think Krasinski seems to be smart. Like he did a great job with the first one. So
well, he was super passionate about it, and passion always leads to pretty amazing things most of the time. Do you think a community would be interesting, or do you think that's just like, oh, we're just going bigger this time? Do you think it'd be a cop out?
I can see a community working. Yeah, I can see that working.
Yeah.
What I think would be too far is if you really tried to go global. If you really tried to give a global perspective, know everything about everything.
Yeah.
Just start revealing some pieces, that are important to the context of whatever the story you want to tell, right? It always comes back to story. What's the actual character movement, character development story that you want to tell? Yeah. And how does that feel? And then reveal the pieces necessary to enhance that story, not just, get people excited. So
yeah,
I think he can do it. I trust you, John.
I do too.
Don't let me down.
You handsome devil, you.
Well, there you go.
That's gonna
wrap it up.
For
Do
we
care?
Wow.
That's how that works. Just like that. Listen, I picked the stories. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes.
Well, at least you found something.
It's true. There's always something. You dig hard enough, there's always a little news here or there.
Yeah.
So you just got to get a bigger shovel, Andrew.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I need to get like a snow shovel and try and dig with that.
No, have you ever seen people clean up with after horses? That kind of shovel is good for pop culture news sometimes. That's the kind of shovel for.
Sometimes it feels like that's what we're,
Yes,
delivering to the people.
Exactly.
Guess what movies Leo isn't in?
Yeah.
I'm like, ugh.
All
it's
right.
going to be one of those weeks, huh?
That'll wrap it up for Do We Care? So let's get on to the review. Let's talk a little bit about Men in Black International.
Oh, snap! Oh, snap! Oh, snap! Oh, snap!
We
Oh, snap!
are a rumor. Recognizable only as deja vu and dismissed just as quickly. Time to prove yourself, Agent M. We may have a problem in London.
Welcome to MIB. You will be with Agent H, one of the best ever to wear this suit.
Very nice. Men in Black International. So not just domestic,
Yeah.
but international, because that's That's where all the money is, Andrew,
Yeah.
is now with the international box office.
Yeah.
So you got to go Men in Black International. Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson star as Agent H and Agent M, who employ high-tech weaponry to battle mischievous aliens on Earth. However, the pair also discover a major threat within their own ranks. And also, maybe fall in love. It's kind of a rom-com in a lot of ways, isn't it? Like, I didn't realize how much of a relationship movie this was going to be, but it definitely kind of goes that direction a little bit, doesn't it? Or tries to, maybe?
Sure.
All right, let's talk about this. Did you like it, love it, dislike it, hate it, or it was just okay?
I didn't like it.
Like, just a solid didn't like it.
Yeah.
I did not like this.
Yeah.
I'm probably on the high side of didn't like it. So
Okay.
we're both there, but this is a bad movie.
Yeah, it's a bad movie.
What a disappointing summer, man.
Yeah.
And to follow a disappointing spring that followed a disappointing end of winter. Like, this is
You know what?
this
I
is a
think
rough year.
We were spoiled by last year.
I
Because
agree.
last year was amazing for
I totally
movies.
agree.
Yeah. So you're talking about relationships and stuff between
Yeah.
these two characters.
Yeah.
I didn't get it. And it's crazy because Tessa
Well, I'm saying-
Thompson and Chris Hemsworth together, whenever they're Thor and Valkyrie, that chemistry is great.
Yeah.
In this movie, how can you have chemistry in one movie and then no chemistry in another movie?
I think it speaks to the fact that there are a lot of parts that go into making a movie. There's the direction, the editing, the
Writing.
story, the writing, for sure. All of that combines to create these things. A lot of times, I will say this. A lot of times we give the actors too much credit for what works on screen. And a lot of times we give them too much blame for what doesn't work on screen, right? And I think this is another reminder that the actors are just a piece of that puzzle and not even really the biggest piece. And that's easy for us to forget because they're right up front. But no, I totally agree. I think that's a great place to start. These are two of the most charismatic, attractive human beings on the planet.
Yeah.
And I could not have cared less about them getting together or even their characters. Like,
Yeah.
how do you put a Chris Hemsworth on the screen that I'm like, meh?
Seriously.
It's just like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
I think that is a major flaw of the
It's
movie.
like he was trying to be Archer,
Mm-hmm.
but it just didn't come across as genuine, I guess.
I guess. It felt very blank to me. The whole thing feels very blank to me.
Yeah.
And I know we're starting with the negatives here, which isn't normally what we do, but this, there's not a ton of positives here. So maybe we'll finish with them just so we can kind of end with a little bit of gleam.
Yeah.
But I think this whole movie is very empty. It's very meaningless. There's not a lot to grab onto theme wise.
What is the overall
what is the
message of this
message?
movie?
The growth of our protagonists, like where the character starts and where they end, pretty much nothing. There's nothing there. Villain, pretty much a big bag of nothing.
It was the biggest bag of nothing.
Right?
Yeah.
And
So many contradictions story-wise in this movie too.
the story is really messed up. Like, this is
and it's
one.
the same story from the first Men in Black. I mean, how do
Mm-hmm.
you... It worked then. Why can't it work here? It's just how awful of writing,
Yeah. I think it has a lot to do with the script that they were given and just how bland and meaningless it is and just how empty it is. So I don't know that there's really a lot going on there.
I mean, they just renamed the characters from the first movie. It's the same script, pretty much.
Now, tell me what you mean by that, because I can see a few differences as far as, when you're talking about, because, you look at Tommy Lee Jones' character, right? He's been in Men in Black forever.
Yeah.
Chris Hemsworth's character isn't like that. He's still second generation, finding his legs. Like, they're both kind of, he's like a hot shot, but it's not like he's, the old stalwart.
Yeah. Yeah, but, it's still, a citizen stumbles across the Men in Black and then is taken under the wing by a member of MIB. And then they go on crazy adventures filled with wacky, zany characters, and the movie ends with them fighting a giant alien that looks like an insect.
Well, if you put it like that...
It's the same movie! It's the same
You know what I
movie.
thought? You know what I thought it was the same as?
What?
Dark Phoenix. I had so much Dark Phoenix deja vu in this thing.
How so?
The idea, you know what? I really don't know that I can talk about everything until spoilers, because some of the things I'm going to talk about do specifically. But I think I can say there's the exact same joke in this movie that's in Dark Phoenix about the X-Men, you know,
yeah,
and it's like Men in Black. It's like there's that whole thing is almost
women in black.
Yeah, it's like that whole thing is almost identical. There's some visuals that look like almost exactly like visuals in Dark Phoenix, along with a bad guy that you know comes in and then takes the form of the people he killed. Like I'm just like this was so weird. And amongst all that, of course, it's a sequel that is just, you know, treading water and trying desperately to be something that it's just not. So
yeah.
I found that really interesting. Can I ask you something about the Men in Black universe?
It's fun. And there are okay, this is my only pro.
Okay.
There are moments in this movie that remind me of the first movie, and I'm like, oh, you know what? That just took me back to when I was a kid and I saw Men in Black for the first time. And those little moments are the only thing that are keeping me from hating this movie. I'm dead
for sure.
serious.
For sure.
Because, like, I remember, the first time they open that door and you see MIB headquarters,
Right.
and stuff like that. Or even the weaponry, or the sunglasses.
Or the creature work.
The neuralizer, yeah. The creature work, and even in the first Men in Black, it wasn't the best. That might be a sign of the time, or it might just be a sign of they just want to make a goofy movie. But in here, you have the same thing, just goofy creature design, and it makes you laugh.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that is the highlight of the movie, and if it's enough for you, maybe you'll have a good time. It does feel like the Men in Black universe visually, like these sets, these creatures, the sense of goofiness and that is all here, and occasionally was entertaining or interesting to look at. I will say there are some throwaway callbacks to the original movies that are so completely void of any kind of emotion or connection. It's just like, oh, there's a character from the old movie. Like,
why show the noisy cricket if you're not going to use the noisy cricket?
Right? Yeah, just stuff like that. That's a little bit too kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge for me.
Yeah.
But there were some moments I also did enjoy.
And this is the craziest thing for me.
Yeah.
Men in Black. What is their staple? Wearing the black suit with the white shirt and the black tie. How many scenes in this movie were they not wearing the black suit, the white shirt, and the black tie?
Well, there were plot reasons when that happened.
Don't try and do that. It's a staple of the franchise.
Right.
No matter what they could be in, the craziest tactical scene ever. They're wearing that suit and those shiny shoes, and they're going to come out the other end looking good.
I mean,
Not
I guess
a speck of dust on them.
I guess if you're going to go that way, you just have to live in a world where the Men in Black are never undercover agents. They're always upfront agents, right? Like that's what the decision you would have to make.
And there are so many times in this movie where they just blatantly tell people who they are right before they neuralize them. I'm like, what's the point? Are you just is this for your benefit? I mean,
well, here's my question. I was going to ask you how you felt about the Men in Black universe in general. And maybe actually we can talk more specifically about the other three movies in our member post show. Maybe we'll do that and just kind of our feelings on 1, 2, and 3. But in general, have you bought into the universe like in the first movies?
Just the first one. I like the first one, but the others let me down.
Yeah.
They went on, there was like, in the first Men in Black, it was ridiculous, but it was believable ridiculous.
So here's what I want to say. I think the Men in Black is built on a foundation that is the biggest suspension of disbelief ask a movie has ever asked its audience to have. The idea that there are this many aliens all around us, right? That's the thing about Men in Black is it's like aliens are everywhere. They've been coming to this planet for years. We've been hiding them right in front of you. That there are this many aliens.
Poorly hiding them.
This is the thing, right? That there are this many aliens all around us, and but we have a neuralizer. This movie even shows how stupid that idea is and how many times people would see other people being neuralized that the Men in Black didn't know about.
Yeah.
And you've got in the other movies the idea that the Statue of Liberty is all of a sudden a neuralizer and can just neuralize the whole town just because it goes off.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense whatsoever.
Because, nobody sleeps at night in New York.
And I just think, well, why did I fall in love? Because this is also on a recent rewatch of Men in Black 2, which is awful in this regard. Like, it's ridiculous.
Well, it's just an awful movie.
It's not a great movie. But what I'm finding fascinating is that the first movie I bought into, like, it didn't bother me, and I'm trying to think of why that is, and I think it's just, number one, I loved the story and the characters so much. But number two, I think it tried to keep it a little bit more contained, a little bit simpler. You didn't get the feeling necessarily in the first one that aliens were around every corner.
Yeah.
But now you do, and so it's kind of one of those things. I'm just like, I can't buy in anymore. I can't go to this world with you where you can pull out a neuralizer and that all of a sudden solves everything and nobody knows anything.
Yeah, everything was used sparingly in the first Men in Black movie.
Right.
You know, I think the only wacky zany character we saw in the first one was the pug.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was like the only crazy one. Even after that, everybody was super well hidden. Like the main guy who was like hiding the galaxy. You know, he had a full human robot suit. You know, that he controlled. And then, granted, you had what's his name, Vincent D'Onofrio. He wasn't hiding his character all too well. He just looked like a giant zombie walking around.
In an Edgar suit?
In an Edgar suit. You know what? Maybe I've been hearing Edgar suit a lot lately.
Yeah.
And it's probably just for the simple fact that Men in Black is back in theaters.
Yeah. Anything else we want to talk about here? My one last thing would just be, I don't think you can get away with this anymore. And I'm glad. I don't think you can get away with throwing a sequel out that is just surface level, touches the nostalgia brain and just does surface things, and people are just going to buy it. I think we're seeing, based on the box office receipts, that it's not the case, and I'm happy. And you just can't get away with just lip service anymore. You've actually got to make a good movie for people to come see it, and I'm glad. I'm glad. And Men in Black International is not a great movie, and people aren't necessarily going to go see it.
I mean, if Hemsworth and Thompson were looking for an out of the Marvel universe, you know, they thought they were going to start a brand new franchise. Well, that ship sailed, and this is dead in the water. So.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to see any more of these. Well, there you go. Anything else? You have one last thing?
Don't see it.
Don't see it. I wouldn't recommend it either. Man, even if you're a fan of the original movie, like there's just not.
Okay, is the first one the only good one?
Let's talk about that in the member post show.
Okay.
Let's talk about that then. I'm not going to give it a recommend either. So there you go. Men in Black International, not great.
Shame.
I think I landed at a C-. You'd probably be below that, wouldn't you?
No, C-, D+.
Yeah, somewhere in that range.
Yeah,
it ain't great.
I'm right around there.
It ain't great.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the best ever challenge. We're going to do reboot movies. These are movies that are meant to relaunch a franchise. So the definition of reboot movie that we're going with is a movie that is meant to take a dormant franchise and relaunch it into the movie-going public's mind. So that kind of limits it, takes some of the sequels out. It's not just straight sequels, that kind of thing, but it's actually meant to relaunch a franchise. So we'll go from number 5 to number 1, maybe give some honorable mentions as well.
I'll let you go first.
I think we're going to have a lot of the same ones
here.
I would imagine.
There's only 5, really, it seemed like.
Well, I've got several others in that. And by the way, there is a top 10 on SiftPop.com that our gurus have put together of their 10 favorite reboot movies. I'm going to start with Blade Runner 2049.
Okay.
I'm excited that this took the Blade Runner movie and actually made a franchise from it. You know,
okay, that's the thing. I didn't really think of Blade Runner as a franchise.
Well, it's not yet, but I mean, they're working on another one.
Okay.
And I just, it's definitely, I think they rebooted it with that intent. The idea that, hey, maybe this can be a universe for us to explore and make some money off of. And man, I really like that movie.
Maybe I was too critical on the wording of the best ever challenge. I was thinking franchise. There had to be a franchise before, and now there's a new franchise after. So maybe that's what I was kind of thinking of.
Could be. Well, good. That'll give us a little bit different list then. But we saw that together, didn't we? For the first time, didn't we go to
Blade Runner? Yeah.
The Alamo in Kansas City and check that out?
Yeah. Crazy.
Oh man, the sound on that. This is one of those movies that being in that theater, I think, had a huge impact on how much I love this movie. And don't get me wrong, I love a lot about it beyond just the incredible sound design and visuals, but seeing it in, that pristine quality and hearing it in that pristine quality was, this is a powerful movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The visuals are otherworldly.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just Denis Villeneuve, man. The guy's good.
Number 5.
The Apes trilogy. Dawn, Planet, Rise.
So Rise of the Planet of the Apes would be the reboot movie specifically that you're thinking about.
Yeah.
I'm going to trump you on that one.
Okay.
Got
I
that one a
figured.
little bit higher.
Your number 4?
My number 4 is Mad Max Fury Road.
Me too.
We both had it number 4?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
The Furiosa movie.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
Charlize, man.
Crazy.
So
Crazy
good.
good. Do you love this movie as much as most people?
No, but I do love it.
Man, I love this movie. I watched
I think I respect it. You know, like I look at some of the work done, especially some of the practical work done in this movie.
Yeah.
And huge respect. And there is a lot I love about the movie. But no, I don't think I have the same level of euphoria that a lot of people have in watching this movie.
I will say, this is one of the first movies whenever I got my 4K TV, I'm like, okay, I got to get this movie. I got this, Blade Runner 2049. I got that one. And then I got like a couple others. They're just visually amazing movies. And this definitely goes up there. And then you add the fact that Charlize Theron is so good in it.
Yeah.
You know, it's honoring, you know, what came before with, you know, all the, I almost said Harrison Ford, but all the Mel Gibson Blade Runners. Man, Harrison Ford, Blade Runner, Mel Gibson, Mad Max. I'm going to get this right one day, people. But, you know, it honors all those movies that came before, but it still kind of made it its own.
Yeah.
Love it. So good.
Is Charlize my favorite actress working right now? She may be.
Yeah.
I mean, did you see Long Shot?
Yeah, I hated it, remember?
Yeah, but she was great, wasn't she?
Sure.
Yeah. I liked Long Shot more than you did.
No, everybody liked Long Shot more than I did. Everybody on the planet liked Long Shot more than I did.
Maybe a bit of an exaggeration, but...
No, every single where I go, people are like, oh, did you see Long Shot? And I'm like, yeah, it wasn't that great. They're like, really? I loved it. I thought the chemistry between Seth Rogen and Charlize was great. I'm like, I didn't get it.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Number 3?
Well, phone, how about you turn back on? Star Trek!
Yeah, me too.
You gonna trumpet?
No, we haven't.
Oh,
We
right at
both have
3?
it 3.
Okay. Oh, right on. Man,
I think I say the same thing every time we talk about this Star Trek.
this cast.
Casting.
This cast.
This is casting genius. It is.
Yeah.
It is. If you ask me to make a top 5 list of movies that just nailed their cast, this is number 1.
Really? I would probably still put Lord of the Rings above. But this
Lord of the Rings is great, but I don't think it succeeds nearly as much based on the cast as this does. I think the cast is the primary reason these movies are amazing.
I will agree with you on that front. If they're not number 1, they're in the top 3 at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, it's so good. But yeah, and the fact that, like with Mad Max, you know, they honor everything that came before it. And if you are going to mess something up, don't mess up Star Trek, because people are going to let you know. There is an avid fan base out there, which we are both a part of.
Yeah.
And
I wouldn't. Yes, absolutely. I love Star Trek. I love the OG series.
we're not Trekkies.
I've watched plenty of Next Generation, and I think it's great.
Yeah.
And I like Wrath of Khan in a couple of the other movies. But I wouldn't consider myself, like a huge Star Trek fan.
Full-blown Trekkie.
Right. Like
Yeah.
I'm a huge, Lord of the Rings fan. I'm a huge Pixar fan. I'm a huge Alfred, Hitchcock fan. But
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily a huge Star Trek fan. But man, I do love these new movies.
Yeah.
So way to
for
go,
me,
JJ.
For me, they gradually didn't live up to the first one, because that first one was just magic. I like Into the Darkness a lot more than most people. I didn't like Beyond, though.
Ooh, I really like Beyond.
I know.
And I like Into the Darkness. I think more than most people. But,
Okay,
but
so
I
I
like
think you
Beyond
and I
even
are
more.
on that front about Into the Darkness.
I
'cause
like all 3 of the new Star Trek movies. I think they're great. I really do.
I was let down by number 3.
Yeah.
But that's just
I'm
me.
sorry. I'm so sorry that happened to
I
you.
know, because I had Idris Elba. I had everything going for it.
My number 2 is your number 5 or number 4. I can't
Apes.
remember. Yeah, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. So we can talk about it here. I think the reason I have it this high is not just because it's a great movie, because actually looking back on it, I remember when it came out, it was such a surprise that it was so good. Do you remember that? The trilogy has made it so we kind of think of them all as just great movies and everybody knows they're great. But
No, because everything before that, the Mark Wahlberg
Right.
one, the Heston ones, they were corny. They were
right.
This is a serious movie.
Yeah.
And
Now
this
there's
is what blew me away. The quality of the CGI. and the fact that Andy Serkis is who he is.
Yeah.
I think if it wasn't him, these movies wouldn't succeed like they do.
No, I think that is definitely one of the major factors. I think there is a lot in this. I shouldn't say a lot, but there's plenty in this movie that isn't great, and I think we forget that because of how the second and the third movie just kind of kept getting better and better. And there's some stuff in this first movie that's a little bit goofy, it hadn't quite exactly found its tone yet. But there's enough good here that I remember coming away from it going, wow, that's a really good movie.
Yeah.
And that I was just remembering the other day what a surprise that was, in that moment that they had taken this franchise and actually breathed some really cool life into it.
Oh, there's that scene where Caesar for the first time screams no.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got goosebumps the first time I saw that in theaters. No.
We call those chimp pimples.
Chimples?
Yeah.
Chimples.
Yeah. Just when it's in regards to this movie.
Never say that again.
Okay, I
it
won't.
just sounds so bad. Chimp pimples.
Well, Chimples sounds worse.
Chimples sounds kind of like a Nickelodeon show.
Chimples?
Chimples.
I thought it was
Chimples and Friends.
I just thought that were chimp nipples. Were chimples. No?
Yeah, okay. Oh God.
All right, moving on to your number 2.
My number 2, Daniel Craig's Bond series.
Yeah. What was the one that relaunched that? Was it Quantum of Solace?
No, Casino Royale.
Casino Royale. That's right. Yeah. Casino.
Yeah, because everything before that, you had Connery's. I'm not going to list all the Bonds, but before that, you had Brosnan. You had Pierce Brosnan. GoldenEye was amazing. It's one of my favorite Bond movies. I've seen every Bond movie. I love the franchise. My mom has inducted me into the Bond, love because she grew up with them. GoldenEye was amazing, but everything after that, I really didn't like any of Pierce Brosnan's.
When was the last Brosnan, and when did Casino Royale come out?
I think Casino Royale came out like 2003,
Okay.
2004,
Okay.
and I think Brosnan's came out in 2000. It's the Halle Berry one.
Okay. It's not. I mean, we're gonna. I think it counts. I absolutely think it counts. But it's not a ton of downtime. It's almost like it's just continuing to be Bond rather than even a reboot.
I always count whenever they get a new Bond as a relaunch.
Interesting. Okay.
So
I can see that.
Yeah.
No, I can see that logic for sure.
I like the fact that this Bond can get hurt.
Yeah.
Every Bond before him. I remember watching it the first time whenever he's chasing that guy through Madagascar, and the guy's doing all this parkour stuff, and he's just getting beat up as he's chasing this guy like he just runs through a wall. He's not always wearing that dashy debonair suit, and he gets cut up, he gets bloody, and none of the Bonds really before that. Maybe Timothy Dalton got bloodied and stuff.
It's kind of a response to Bourne. I know I've said this before, but it really is Bond going, okay, we kind of need to update this a little bit. And, they update that part of it. They update the womanizing part of it. The idea that he was always, I think they did. I mean, at least over time they did. And it was a little bit different. It didn't feel as much as,
predatory.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, there's a lot of that I think they decided to update based on that. And the action's a little bit different. They shoot them a little bit different. It's a little grittier.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
In Casino Royale Skyfall's my favorite Craig Bond movie, but Casino Royale's right there at number 2, very close. I mean, you had the Madagascar chase, you had the airplane, or the airport, chase. So many amazing scenes in that movie that just relaunched that franchise. And then they still had him being suave and debonair, like whenever he's playing poker and stuff like that. He's got that cocky smile, like, I know I'm gonna win, that kind of thing. And Mads Mikkelsen's a great villain too, is Le Chiffre.
Very nice. So that's your number 2?
Yeah.
So we have the same number 1, right?
Probably.
It's got to be The Force Awakens.
Oh, no. We don't have the same one.
Wow. Well, I'll start then with The Force Awakens.
Okay.
I don't think there's ever been a bigger ask than J.J. Abrams to relaunch Star Wars to a place where the fans are liking it again. And that he comes out and somehow does it is really impressive.
It's number 6. It's just the fact that I look at The Last Jedi, a movie you love, and that I hate.
Well, but this is about The Force Awakens, not The Last Jedi.
Okay, this is where we're coming to that differentiation between franchise. I'm counting the franchise that's being relaunched against the franchise before.
And I was thinking reboot movies. So the movie that actually reboots it is the one that we're ranking, that I was ranking. So I get it. Totally.
Force Awakens would have probably been up there for me then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
It is a great movie. Don't get me wrong.
The
love Force
introduction
Awakens.
of Rey is just brilliant. Though I remember just immediately falling in love with that character. And I was so invested in her journey, and still am actually invested in her journey and her story.
Yeah.
And man, JJ just has a way of doing that. And it's just, I love it.
He knows how to relaunch franchises.
Space franchises?
Space franchises.
I can't believe that. I can't believe
franchises.
it. I cannot believe the same guy rebooted both Star Trek and Star Wars both successfully. That blows my... If JJ's plaque in the Movie Hall of Fame only reads rebooted Star Trek and Star Wars, that's enough. That's all you need. You get in the Hall of Fame just for that. It's an impressive achievement.
Yeah.
So, what do you got at number 1?
Dark Knight trilogy.
Oh, yeah. I just don't like Batman Begins as much as most people do. I have it in my honorable mentions, but yeah. I do like it. I just don't love it.
I think from it's the biggest scale difference between how much everybody hated the Schumacher Batmans to how much everybody loves the Dark Knight trilogy. People forget, because it's been so long, Batman was a laughable character. He was not taken seriously at all. He was, just... I almost said he was a joker, because he was just so, he did the goofiest stuff. He had a bat credit card. He had, the Schumachers, the nipple suits.
I was going to say he had chimples in one of his
Yes, he had
suit.
chimples. The bapples.
Bapples.
Yeah. But, it's just, Clooney's even apologized for how bad those movies are.
Yeah.
But then Christopher Nolan... Christopher Nolan came along, and he...
Did you say a prayer to the gods of Nolan?
The gods of Nolan, yeah. Thank you for bestowing an amazing franchise on us. And not only did he give us, an amazing, trilogy, he gave us Oscar-winning amazingness with this trilogy. The Dark Knight is possibly the greatest superhero movie ever made.
Certainly would be in the discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you can have that discussion with at least, without at least bringing it up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, I mean, that's what I was going, just from how bad, I guess people could say how bad, the Star Wars prequels were to Force Awakens.
Yeah.
But I was just looking overall, I'm like, I love every single of the love's a strong word for Dark Knight Rises. I like Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
But I love Dark Knight, and I love Batman Begins.
Really, you could count Batman 1989 as a reboot movie as well.
From the Adam West series?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And that's a decent film.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a good one.
Probably should be in the honorable mentions. I have a couple of my honorable mentions that you won't because of the different way we kind of interpreted this.
Cool.
So I'll mention those first. Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle is a reboot movie. They're going to be doing, the franchise, but I understand under your It is another one.
See, yeah, because it's just a remake. That's how I looked at it.
Yeah, but
because
it is reboot. I mean, they're going to do the franchise, like they're doing another movie and...
Yeah, but I mean, like the made-for-TV movie with Tim Curry, it's the exact same story being told here, whereas all the other movies have been different.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, totally.
It's just that difference of definition.
Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man Homecoming, both rebooting the Spider-Man franchise.
It's true.
So those are worth at least mentioning. Ocean's 11 is an interesting one. That became a franchise. I don't know that it was technically a reboot movie when they made it. I think it was more of a remake.
It was a remake, from what I understand.
But it did...
Have you seen the original Oceans?
I actually haven't. Oh. I've wanted to, but no, I haven't gotten around to doing that. Really?
You don't need to.
I mean,
I know you love the Oceans, especially the first one. So it's not like you're really missing anything. It's not going to live up to that. Okay. I'm going to say the Brad Pitt, George Clooney is so much better.
Here's one I'm surprised you didn't mention: Godzilla.
Yeah, it's weird because I love the old Godzilla so much. So it's just a continuation
Right.
So maybe that's what I was thinking,
Could be.
or I just really didn't put that much thought into it because I'm like, oh man, they took something that it was okay and then they made something I loved.
Yeah.
Because when I look at Star Trek, I'm not talking Next Generation because I'm just a Next Generation guy. I'm not really all on board with Kirk and Kirk and Spock and all them. That wasn't my jam.
Interesting.
But whenever those movies came out, I'm like, oh, these guys are amazing.
Yeah.
So maybe that has something to do with it. Just quality of love compared to the newer quality of love.
I think that makes a ton of sense. Well, there you go. There's our best ever reboot movies. And we'd love to hear yours as well. So feel free to let us know. Send us an email. Hit us up on Twitter. Whatever you want to do.
Now, compared to the 98 Godzilla movie with Matthew Broderick.
See, there you go. That's what it's rebooting.
Yeah, it's rebooting that. Well, it is rebooting America's version of Godzilla.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
So yeah.
So now it's your number one.
Number one.
That's how it works. Before we head on to the Sift Quest, I do want to say thank you to our SiftPop members. We love you. We appreciate you so much. Starts at $3 a month, and we've got the coolest group of members that hang out with us every month at the monthly member hangout at a certain level. Also, every single SiftPop member gets their own dedicated podcast feed that has all the bonus episodes in it. So when you hear us talking about, the members only post show where we're going to talk about the Men in Black movies, that's what that is. And that shows up in your own podcast feed. So that's a ton of fun. All that is at patreon.com/SiftPop. Patreon.com/SiftPop. Andrew, say a few words to our members. I'm going to look. We have a new one that I want to look up. So that'll give me a second to do that.
Don't forget, everybody, we're on YouTube now.
It's true. There were a lot of people that were really into you pointing out things. Look at that. Look at that.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Look at that. There that is.
I mean, isn't it amazing how, we have so many Pixar things on the wall back here, and we're about
Audio
to talk
podcast.
about Pixar.
Audio podcast.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Audio podcast.
Audio and visual podcast. Yeah, totally.
It is good that you mentioned the YouTube channel though, because that is another place that you can, go check out kind of what goes on here.
Pretty faces, and you can point out if I have broccoli in my teeth.
Thank you so much to Ian, who
Actually, Phil, do I have broccoli in my teeth?
You look good.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you so much to Ian, who is a brand new SiftPop member. We really appreciate you, Ian. Thanks for joining up and having fun with us. So if you want to be a member again, go to patreon.com/SiftPop. All right, let's move on to the Sift Quest. Now, this is where you send in whatever question you have for us, whatever you would like us to answer. If you've got a debate that you want us to solve, all of that happens here in the Sift Quest.
If there was ever a Sift Quest that was catered directly to you, it's this one.
Yeah, no, this is pretty much right to me.
Yeah.
I know you're a Pixar fan. I am too, not quite to the same degree. I'd like to hear your opinion on what separates a Pixar film from a Disney animation film. Zootopia, Moana, Wreck-It Ralph, Big Hero 6 are all really good movies, but I suspect they don't touch Pixar films in your book. I'm curious as to why. What makes Pixar different? What makes Pixar special? If I froze you for 10 years...
Rude.
Yeah, first of all, how dare you? And then thawed you, well, thank you. Do you think you could tell the difference between Pixar and other animated films the years you were frozen? I don't know if that was a pun, considering that's one of those Disney movies.
Is it Disney or is it Pixar?
Frozen's
See, that's
Disney.
where I'm going to start right now.
I
Just
agree.
showing how much this is for you. You listed like Moana and all those movies.
Right.
I thought you were listing Pixar movies because I can't tell the difference. They're
Wow.
the same. They're the same. Why have two different companies make the same movie? Yes, they're both Disney, but they're the same.
So the final part of the question is, I agree Pixar tends to be a notch above other animation studios, including Disney, but I'm not sure I can put a finger on why. No, I do disagree with you. I don't think they're the same. I think there is a different level of concentration and such put into the Pixar films from the beginning. Now, here's what's interesting. Disney has combined the animation studios of Pixar and Disney, so they're working pretty much in the same kind of way.
Yeah.
And since that has happened is when we've seen this renaissance of great Disney animated movies. And I don't think that's any coincidence that that's the way that it's happened. In fact, I think Bolt was the first Disney animated film after they kind of combined the Disney and Pixar, and there's still actually two separate buildings and staffs and that kind of stuff, but the kind of the overseeing of them was the thing that was the same. So since then, it has been a little more difficult just to tell them apart. And here's the thing. I don't know that I would tell you that every Pixar movie is better than those Disney movies. Like, I don't necessarily feel that way.
You're saying that you like Cars 3 more than Moana?
No, not at all. I think of those ones you mentioned, Big Hero 6 feels like a Pixar movie even more than the others. There's something really unique and interesting about it that for me defines a Pixar original, when they do an original film. Yeah, there's some real heart there. And I think that's what it comes down.
It's a good Marvel movie too.
It is.
Yeah.
I think what it comes down to me is the heart. And that's why you'll hear me talk about DreamWorks movies like How to Train Your Dragon feeling like a Pixar movie, because of the heart that's in it. Like, there's this real beautiful thematic stuff that's going on in there, and some real beautiful tug on the heartstrings kind of stuff. But I think even beyond the heart, it's just such a great grasp on how to tell a good story. From the very beginning, they put a lot of effort into crafting their stories in a very specific way. And you can find like Pixar's rules for storytelling online, those kind of things. And once you read through those, you'll go, oh, now it makes a lot of sense. Just that simple things like the idea that there's always like a resolution at the end of their, I shouldn't say always, but often there's a resolution at the end of their movies. And then there's one final surprise. Oh no, it's not resolved, that they have to then in the last few moments of the movie, accomplish. Which I find fascinating, just that idea of pulling the rug in that way, and just they understand the mechanics of storytelling in the way that other studios don't.
You know how the Powerball and stuff, they have the little tube thing that they drop the ball down and it can either go left or right, That's how I am with all of these movies. That's how I would decide whether it's Pixar or Disney, because that's how similar they are. I'm like, hey, if it goes left, it's Pixar. If it goes right, it's Disney. That would be that's the only way I could actually determine. I think the only one I know solidly is Pixar is Toy Story, because it was the first.
They have been alternating doing sequels and original films. And the original films are always, I should say, always my favorites. Like Coco recently. Love Coco. I just think it's brilliant. Before that was Inside Out. Those kind of movies I always think are spectacular. Having said that, they're done with sequels for a while. Their next 4 movies are all originals, is what they've said. So, including Onward, which I think has a trailer out now, although I haven't seen it. So
looks fun.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where Pixar goes in the next few years. But I don't know. I think they've raised the bar in a lot of ways, which makes it good, right? Like, that bar being raised makes it good for every animation company to kind of be able to up what they're doing and kind of get to that level. So, and I think you're seeing that through animated films in general.
Yeah.
So, which is why when A Secret Life of Pets 2 comes out and tanks, it's like, well, maybe it wasn't that great.
Yeah.
Doesn't live up to the bar. So there you go. Appreciate it. Appreciate the question. Unless you had more to say about Pixar, Andrew. I know you're such a huge fan.
I'm a huge fan. I've seen all the movies.
Are you looking forward to Frozen 2?
No.
Did you like Frozen?
Not at all.
Really?
I hate that movie.
Oh, it's so good.
No, it's not.
Really?
It's not a good movie.
What makes it not good?
It's old enough I can actually just talk about it now. That horrible plot point where she's like, oh, my sister's frozen, and she can like do magic stuff. My parents are going to lock her away in a room for 20 years. I'm never going to see her. Oh, she's out now and she ran away? Okay, well, I better go find her. Hey, here's a stranger. Why don't you tag along with me? Oh, there's a magical snowman. That's cool. We're not going to talk about that. We have some annoying trolls that come out for one song and then disappear. Yeah, that's cool. Oh, that one guy I fell in love with, in the first 3 minutes of the movie after meeting him for 5 minutes, he's a villain now. Oh, that sucks.
That's brilliant. That's like brilliant. You're just explaining what makes it Frozen awesome.
I hate that movie so much.
Why do you hate it? This is interesting to me.
I hate that movie so much.
Man.
I thought that the plot was horrible. That stupid song If I have
That's
to
what
hear,
it is. It all comes down to the song.
No, it's not just the song.
It does. I can tell.
No, it is okay, it is a stupid song. I thought Olaf was a
so
horrible,
glad I
annoying
asked.
character.
Wow.
I thought that I've had this conversation with you about how much I
You're
hate
living.
Frozen.
You're living in the upside down on this, man. Like this is so strange.
it's
Everything
just
you
me-
say is
It's me and the-
opposite of how I
Me
feel.
and the Demogorgons, man, we hate Frozen. Hate
right.
Frozen.
Down there, it's called thawed. All right, so that'll wrap it up for the Sift Quest, and we will move on to finish up with our buried treasure. Andrew, what is that one thing in any area of pop culture that you want to make sure people know about?
Aaron, I don't know if you know this. I'm a DC fan.
I did know that, in
Yeah.
fact.
As you might know, DC has their own streaming service with original shows and stuff out now. They have Titans and Doom Patrol. They have a Harley Quinn show, and they have Krypton.
And they have one episode of The Swamp Thing.
They have 3
Oh,
episodes.
3 episodes. Sorry, I just knew it got
Which is
canceled.
my buried treasure.
Oh, really? That's unfortunate.
No, not at all. This show is good.
Well, it's unfortunate that it's good. I mean, if they're canceling it after 3
They're
episodes.
not canceling it.
What? I thought that was the huge news.
No. It
They
didn't get
totally canceled Swamp Thing like after 3 episodes or something, and fans were like upset. I can't believe I'm telling you this. If this isn't true, I apologize. I thought that was the huge news that I saw on Swamp Thing was like, is fans were upset because they were like, nah, we're not going to do any more of these. So, am I wrong? Oh, I'm so sorry, Andrew. He throws his phone for those who aren't watching. Andrew, I feel awful. I wish I was wrong. I'm so sorry. I thought that's why you were bringing it up. You were like, oh, I can't believe they're canceling this, and I love it. Oh, he's so sad. He's so sad. Andrew, tell me why it was awesome for the 3 episodes that he...
So I'm reading that they might actually air all 10 episodes.
Oh, that's nice. Because
like-
originally they weren't going to do that, I didn't think.
Yeah, like recently, like 3 days ago, they said that. So, but yeah, nevertheless, the show is pretty much dead. So
Wow. Well, tell me why it's awesome. Maybe somebody will hear
we've lost Andrew.
Andrew's done. But Frozen 2 is coming out. Oh no, it looked like he was about to actually throw something at me. That got serious there for a second. No, I genuinely
building was great.
Yeah.
The characters were amazing. Swamp Thing is such an underappreciated character. The effects were rad. I was so digging that show.
Oh, poor Andrew. Well, I don't know where to go from here other than I've got some buried treasure. If you want me to talk about it, I can. Thank you. I will talk about Fleabag.
Canceled!
Fleabag season 2 is out on Amazon now. 6 episodes. They're about 20 to 30 minutes each. I love this new thing where shows have these shorter seasons. You can watch a whole, season of Fleabag in about the time it takes to watch a regular movie. So 2 seasons now, about 5 or 6 hours total of content. Very interesting. Phoebe Waller-Bridge does such creative, interesting stuff, and I think she's fascinating in this. I will say it's Amazon Prime streaming there. Definitely adult content. Want to give that warning for sure. But just to say, man, it's unique, funny, interesting, and compelling in a thematic and meaningful way, like a lot of shows aren't. And there's some stuff about faith and belief in the second season that I just don't see a lot of shows actually really dealing with. She has a relationship with a priest, and the idea of that, both the idea of falling in love with a priest and what that means, and the idea of his faith and what that looks like, felt authentic and real, and also somehow still really funny. So if you've been hearing good stuff about Fleabag, I'm just backing that up for you. I finally broke down and watched both seasons and absolutely loved it. So that is my buried treasure, but it cannot bring us out of the doldrums of Swamp Thing.
You have no idea.
I feel like you're almost crying, Andrew.
I'm pretty upset. I'm not gonna lie.
No, it's real. I just want you to know, like, if you're listening to this on audio, none of that was staged. If you're watching this on video, you probably know that. This is an audio podcast, but this is one of those moments you might want to head over to the YouTube channel and see just if you've ever wanted to see heartbreak happen live, you might want to go to the YouTube channel. Dude, I like that messed you up.
The show is so good.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. We did a podcast. We did it. We did it, Andrew. Yay! We did a podcast.
I was so looking forward to getting through with. I didn't have any Dewey Cares because it was a crap week for news. I wanted to get through Men in Black International because it was a crap movie. I was excited about talking about Swamp Thing because I'm like, there's the light at the end of the tunnel for me, man. I get to talk about a great show everybody should go check out.
Well, they can still go check it out, right? There's hope. Netflix buys everything. Maybe they'll save it.
Yeah.
We did a podcast.
Sure.
Yay. Yay. Thanks so much for joining us today. SiftPop is part of the Studio DNA Podcast Network. You can find out more about other shows on the network at studiodna.media.
No, you can't. They've all been canceled.
Or by searching Studio DNA in your podcast player. Huge thanks to Andrew for hanging out with us and having his dreams destroyed. You can check him out at Flick Freaks all over the social medias. You can check me at Aaron Dicer. And of course, SiftPop is at SiftPop on the social medias. Much love and gratitude to our members for giving monthly to make SiftPop a real thing. Support starts at $3 a month, and you get access to every bonus episode as well as some other fun perks, including a monthly video hangout. Also, your support going to directly be helping SiftPop expand this year to some fun new areas, including video, where you can watch us on YouTube, stream live most Saturdays at noon Central is when we record. That will change occasionally, but those will all be saved there at the SiftPop YouTube. So go subscribe to SiftPop on YouTube. We would appreciate it. You can find out more information on our member support at patreon.com/SiftPop. Lots of ways to connect with the podcast. Feel free to comment, rate, or throw some stars at us on the different podcast players. Lots of ways to email us, feedback@siftpop.com. Lots of things to email us about. And finally, if you're having a good time, your movie-loving friends will probably like it too, so let them know about it, and that listening is much easier than finding out your favorite show was canceled.
I'm not having a good time. Who's having a good time? I dare you to say you're having a good time right now. Look me in the eye and tell me you're having a good time.
I'm not looking anywhere near your eyes right now. Spoiler chat for Men in Black International will be up next in your podcast feed. Fingers crossed, I hope. And next week we'll be back with Toy Story 4.
Kidding me?
Thank you, live audience. You have been witness to SiftPop history happening, I believe. We're going to shut this one down, and then we're going to restart the Sift Spoil so we can talk some Men in Black spoilers. So find that there at our YouTube channel for SiftPop. Did you break your phone?
It's fine.
Okay, good. It had a case on it. I was hoping we were okay.
Andrew was just leaving.
I'm out of here. All right, we will catch you in the spoiler episode. Thanks, guys.